Thanks for joining us for Chart Your FI. I'm your host, Chris Elder, and we're going to talk about navigation charts. Woo! I know everybody's excited about navigation charts and goal planning. All right. Well, it's pretty appropriate that we're talking about navigation charts and goal planning and all that at the beginning of the year, right? Like it's almost planned. As we roll into 2022, which is set to be one of the most interesting years yet, COVID in the second full year, housing market's going crazy, stocks are at all-time high. Man, Dogecoin, Shiba Coin, Bitcoin, pretty exciting, right? So, not only has it been an exciting, crazy time for the world and the financial sector, but also for my family as well. Not only are we in a different country than we were in the beginning of 2021, we also just finished up fixing our one of our houses that caught fire, and a remodel on another, and finished up another remodel, and it was definitely 2020 to 2021 was definitely a crazy year. So definitely one for the books, and I'm excited to see what we got for 2022. It's set to be a pretty exciting year as well. So here we are. I'm recording my podcast. I think that's pretty exciting. So got my wife. She is no longer working a full-time job at a hospital, but working a full-time job here at home. So, and she's also working her side hustle, which is a totally another topic that I can't wait to get into. Navigation chart, what is it? It's essentially a goal planning tool, a metric that I use for my sailors, and something I'd also like to share with you guys. And maybe if it helps at least one of you guys out, I count that as a win, right? The goal of a navigation chart is essentially to you'll have like your end goal. Like, for example, I want to be financially secure by the age of 40, right? I want to be able to retire. I want to be at my FI. So, what do you got to do to achieve all those steps, right? Depending on where you're at and your navigation chart depends on how extensive your chart's going to be, right? So, we all got a different path to travel, and we're all going to different destinations because not all of us want to achieve it the same way. You may not want to do real estate. You may not want to do stocks. You may want to do a food truck, or you may want to be, who knows, like an inspiring podcaster. So, uh, I pitched the whole entire navigation chart to my sailors. I sell it to them like, if you were to go on a road trip, you wouldn't just hop in your car, hop in an Uber, hop on a train, plane, whatever, unicycle, and just go on a trip, right? No, you wouldn't do that. You would plan it out, right? So you should really treat your your road trip and your goals as the same, right? You should treat your goal planning as, hey, I want to get this all done, and this is how I'm going to do it. The important part of goal planning and doing your navigation chart is to put it on paper and know your destination and what you want to accomplish along the way. Charting your financial independence, if that's going to be your end goal, which I imagine some of you that are listening are like, well, why would that not be my end goal? Um, yeah, I don't know why you don't want to be financially independent, but you could apply this to any goal that you have, whether it's you're an inspiring scientist that wants to be, wants to go up into space and become an astronaut, or let's say you want to become a doctor, or you're a CPA that wants to run, the next H&R Block and open up your own tax service or something like that. It's really broad. Or maybe for those military people, you want to get that you want to be an officer one day, or you want to be a master chief or a gunnery master sergeant or whatever be you. You can use this for anything. It's a pretty easy tool to utilize to achieve your goal and achieve it. Did you know that writing your goals actually increases your ability to achieve them? When you write down a goal, for example, becoming debt free, it's like speaking it into reality or making a written contract between you and yourself. It makes you also put the effort into what that goal entails. For example, becoming debt free, you know, I can't have any debt. So what is my debt? Oh, what? I have to know what my debt is? So getting into it and learning how to achieve that goal is going to make you really get in there in the nitty gritty and be into that goal. So, you could have a goal in one hand or a dream in another. The difference between the two is one you take action on, and the other one you just sit there and dream and think about it. And that's why it's important for you to take action. Forcing yourself to do the research, like reading a book like Poor Dad, Rich Dad by Richard Kiyosaki or Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. You know, immersing yourself into all of these different kind of materials, or even listening to like a podcast, or for example, reading some blogs like Grumpus Maximus, or listening to CYFI, or any of the various other really good FIs out there, FI podcasts. Just you got to immerse yourself. Once you actually immerse yourself and you start working on it, you start stressing it, and you start becoming it, you're going to notice a physical change. And with that physical change is stress. The stresses mean that you're actually achieving something. I'm not sure if you ever heard of the saying, there's no gain without pain. Well, unless you have those stresses, just like working out, you're stressing the muscle whenever you're trying to build it. And that's what you're doing with your FI muscle whenever you're becoming debt free or figuring out what you got to do to achieve that number that you need to get. This brings me into waypoints. Your waypoints are your small goals that you have to achieve in order to get your main one. Like becoming a millionaire, you don't just wake up one day and all of a sudden $1 million falls into your bank account, right? You're not going to instantly be that Vogue photographer. These waypoints, these small goals, they're actually the most important aspect of your navigation chart. It's just like on a road trip, you're not just going to drive straight 30 hours from one side to the other side, right? Point A to point B is going to require some waypoints to get there. You're going to have to stop, you're going to have to fill up, you're going to have to re-gauge yourself. And that's what these small goals are for. So, like, for example, reading literature or immersing yourself in more podcasts, classes, whatnot. These could be little waypoints that you have. Or maybe in order to reach FI, you need to have, that certain income level for a period of time. So you got to be really good at your job, right? I talk to my sailors all the time, and it's like, look at, where do I want to be when I retire out of here? Do I want to be, first class petty officer? Which I'm going to tell you right now is, it's okay to be a first class petty officer because you served your country. There's nothing wrong with that. But you could do better. And you should plan to do better. And to help you become F5, it's going to be in your best interest if you did plan to do better. Hey, sometimes our plans, they don't always come to fruition. But most of the time when they don't come into fruition, it's due to actual like input and effort. So that's why these waypoints are so important. Take a look at Dave Ramsey's snowball principle for paying off debt. A lot of people would put the highest yielding interest in front, but he recommends putting your smallest up front. And there's a psychological win for a lot of people because, man, I paid off this bill. Oh, man, I'm going to pay off this bill in 2 months, versus like um, going out to the interest rate. And that's kind of difficult for some people that understand interest rates. But there really is a psychological win, even for those of you that say, I understand interest rates and I'd rather pay off the higher interest rate. But I'm telling you right now, once you pay off something and then you just cut that thing up, there's a high on it. So it's the little wins that you need to achieve, and these waypoints are those little wins. It's just like you're not going to climb Mount Everest in one day. It takes a lot of time, and you're going to see a lot of people that fail along the way. And sometimes you're going to have your little setbacks, and that's okay. You know, the problem is if you don't make your goals and sit down and um, hold yourself accountable, it's it's not gonna happen. And that's another thing that we should really look at is who's holding me accountable. Having a mentor or accountable partner in your goals, whether that's your significant other or you have a professional mentor that you sit down and talk about that kind of asks you and follows up on where you're at with your goals. In the military, we follow up on each other and talk about our goals and also like education and US maps and apprenticeship programs and such like that. Almost non existent out there in the private sector, um, unless you have one hell of a leader. They're out there. I know they are. And a lot of them come from my field into your field. So, yeah. And also, if you have a mentor that's like one of the top people in the field, why reinvent the wheel? Sometimes it's just way easier to watch somebody else do something and then be like, I like how they do it that way. I'm going to finesse it a little bit this way, and it becomes yours, right? There's no reason to reinvent the wheel, and sometimes you just got to keep it simple. Um, Repetitiveness. You'll find that I say things a lot over and over and over and over again. And there's a reason behind repetitiveness and writing down your goals and speaking them and talking with a mentor or something like that is repetitive. It's because it seals it into your brain, right? It's psychologically, if you write it down, read it, talk about it, you know, and then somebody follows up on you, you're going to get it done. So, how is this navigation chart going to help you achieve FI? Well, it's it's not going to help you achieve FI if you don't put the effort into it. Hey, I wrote all these things down. They look really nice on paper, but I took no action on them. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to be worth its. It's not even going to be worth its weight. You know, so you have to put the effort in. That's why writing these goals down and holding yourself accountable to these goals that you wrote. And hey, goals change. Life keeps moving on, and that is perfectly fine. So what's not fine is just not having anything written down and following no compass, right? So even the most seasoned navigator use a sextant, a compass, a map. They also utilize each other for knowledge, you know. So who am I to think that I could clearly chart my path without a navigation chart? So I challenge you guys to take a minute, sit down, write your path, chart it down. You could call it a roadmap. You could call it whatever you want. You know, maybe you guys could even put on here some nicer names to call it. And I'd be really interested to see some of them, and share them, and just yeah, get out there and do it. You know, it's 2022. You know, it's going to be an amazing year, really is. You know, there's so many methods that out there to achieve FI, and I look forward to exploring them with you. I'd like to shout out to all my listeners that are on here. Thank you very much. I'd like to know who you are. So leave feedback. Let me know what I could do to improve this a little bit more. And I really do appreciate you guys for being on here for my first actual content episode. I'm excited to see what we're going to cover in the next few more episodes. So stay tuned. And yeah, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Chris out.